So you would think that having a heart attack at age 35 while pregnant with twins would have made me into the biggest workout queen in the world. But it didn't. In my former life, before everything happened, I was a dance teacher and a choreographer. So movement was just part of my everyday life. I never had to make special time to work out. And if I'm honest, I am a reluctant exerciser, unless it's in a dance studio. I also really love fried chicken. I mean, really good fried chicken. I love to travel when I speak and go to the South and have real fried chicken. Oh, I would eat it every day if I could, but I know that I'm not supposed to do that. As a person who has a damaged heart, I know that I'm supposed to do all of that stuff. I'm supposed to eat right, I'm supposed to exercise, I'm supposed to keep my stress at bay. I'm supposed to control all of those risk factors to make sure that this is fine. I had all of the information. There were doctors and nurses and cardiotherapy people who were telling me these are the things that you need to do. I had the information. But here's something I know for sure. Information very rarely makes us do anything differently. Because, look, we all know what we're supposed to be doing, right? I did too. I had freshly graduated from the cardiac rehab, and I was supposed to go home and do 20 to 30 minutes of cardiovascular exercise every day to make sure this healed. Was I doing that? No, I wasn't. And in fact, I didn't do that until my husband one day sat me down at the kitchen table after we put the girls to bed. And he said, "Hey, honey, I see what you're doing. And more importantly, I see what you're not doing. You're not doing the work to get better." And I said, "But I have all of this stuff that I need to do every day that I just don't have time to get on the stupid bike and the stupid stand in the stupid family room and do 20 to 30 minutes." And he said, "None of that matters. If you don't do the work, you're not going to get better. And if you don't get better, you're not going to be here. And if you're not here, our family doesn't exist." And in a flash, I saw all of the things I didn't want to miss with our family. I wanted to see those little babies grow up. I wanted to watch them go off to kindergarten. I got to be their Girl Scout leader. It was wonderful to watch them walk across the stage when they graduated high school. I did not cry when we dropped them off at their individual colleges, at their individual dorm rooms, in front of them. We watched both of them graduate college. They're off in the world, leading their adult lives. And I cannot wait to see what they do next. I look forward to watching them fall in love. Look forward to dancing with my husband at their weddings and welcoming their children into our family. And man, I want to retire with my husband and watch the sunset night after night after night. But I have a repaired heart. I know I don't get any of that unless I put the work in. It's true for everybody, though, right? But those three people, my husband and the two daughters, they are my whole world. They're why I got on the stupid bike. They're why I don't eat fried chicken every meal, and they're why I keep my stress at bay so that I can have all of the moments I could possibly have with them. So my question for you is, who's your whole world? Because I know for sure when you connect that information with the motivation, that's when things happen. That's when change is possible. I like to think of it as a because statement. I'll get on the stupid bike because I want to see my daughters get married, right? So think about it. What is your motivation? What's the thing you don't want to miss that makes the work worth it, right? When we connect those two, that's when it's possible to change and maintain that change and create the habits and do all the things that we need to do. The information and the motivation, that makes it. Now, in case you think, my girls are 24 now, that I do all of this perfectly every day, no. Here's something I say every day. Life is about perfection. I'm sorry, that's not what I say every day. I say, life is not about perfection. It's about moving in the right direction. It's a path we're on. We're walking. Sometimes we're going to take a couple of steps off the path. That's okay. As long as we get back on, keep walking. Keep moving in the right direction. It's going to be fine. That's all right. And here's the thing. I have been telling that story for decades. And that's where I end my talk. But recently, I remembered there's more. There's more, because sometime recently, an audience member came up and said, I like that path thing. The thing about if you take a couple of steps off, get back on. I like that. But what about when you slide right off? And I'm like, oh, you're right. I don't talk about that part because, frankly, that part's hard. That's the part that is vulnerable, and it makes me uncomfortable to talk about because I did slide off the path recently. My mom has not been well. It's been about 2 years of doctor's appointments and hospital stays and worry. And not too long ago, she had a very simple procedure, supposedly, in an outpatient facility, and it went poorly. And we ended up at the same hospital where everything happened for me, in the ER and then the ICU, because that's the only bed that they had to put her in. She didn't necessarily have to be in the ICU. And she was doing better. We just were waiting on her hemoglobin to go up enough that she could go home. So I left the ICU while she went up for a test. And I realized that I was in the same hallway that I left to go down to see my girls for the first time. So, as I said, I had a heart attack while I was 7 months pregnant with twins. Fortunately, I was in a hospital at the time on bed rest. So I got great care right away. But I had open heart surgery and a C-section kind of all at the same time. So that was a lot. I was in the ICU. And there was a lot going on that first day. But this wonderful nurse came in, Rose, for her 12-hour shift. She started at 7. And she says, listen, this is going to be a hard day for you. But here's the promise I'm going to make. If you do everything I ask you to do today, I will take you to see your daughters tonight before I leave. And I'm like, this does not seem possible. I've got wires and tubes and all kinds of things attached to me. But during that day, they came off and I sat up. Ooh, that was hard. I stood up. That was even harder. But at 6:45, I was in a wheelchair going from the ICU to the NICU to see my girls that were born 2 months early. In this hallway. It's a long hallway and it's white. And on one side there's windows, but they're not really windows. They're just backlit. So it seems like daylight all day long and night long. So we're going down in I'm walking down the same hallway. And I'm thinking about that trip that I traveled 24 years before that to go see my girls for the first time. And how it seemed like everything was going to be okay because I was going to go meet our daughters. And we got up to the NICU, and these 2 little tiny babies are in isolates, and we reached in and I met Callie for the first time, and she put her tiny little hand around my pinky finger. And then we went over and met Grace, and my husband and I discussed about if the sprinkling of hair on her head was actually red. We're both brown heads. Do we actually have a red head? We do. She's very red. And so that's where I was. I'm reminiscing as I'm walking down this hallway about meeting our beautiful daughters for the first time. And then my phone dings, and I pull it out, and it says, oh, you have new test results. And I think, cool. And I blink on it thinking it's going to be something about my mom. And I look at it, and it's not my mom's results, it's mine. And I scroll through, and I start realizing that my 3-month labs, because my doctor keeps very close tabs on all of my risk factors, every single one of them is in the red zone. And I start to panic a little bit because I know what that means. That means that this damaged heart is being more stressed than it needs to be. And somehow all of the work that I've done has not worked, and now we're here. And that panic and worry that always sits down here starts bubbling up. And I start to feel it coming higher and higher and higher. And then I think, nope, I can't handle this right now because my mom's in the hospital and we got to figure this out. So I push it back down and realize this is probably why they're high. It's been 2 years that I have been pushing down everything I should be paying attention to and pushing down the worry and the struggle. And that's why my numbers are high. I also know I can't take this home. I can't leave and bring all of this to my husband and make him re-experience the worst day in his life. So I'm pushing it down and I'm holding it together, but I know I'm going to need to talk to somebody. I can't talk to my husband. I can't talk to my mom or my sister because we're already dealing with stuff. But 10 years ago, we started a very special group. 3 other professional speakers and I have a mastermind group. And we call it Bat Signal for a reason. It is a group in which we absolutely are invested in not just the business of the other people in the group, but the lives of the other people in the group. And we can throw up that bat signal whenever we need it. And sometimes it goes to the whole group, and sometimes it's just an individual person where you can call and you know that person is going to be there for you. So I knew Jess and Jerry were traveling, so I called Tom Singer. So when I decided that's what I was going to do. When I got in the car, I pulled out of the hospital parking lot, and I called Tom. And he picked up. And I said, Tom, I'm going to need to say some things to you because I can't go home feeling the way that I do to Clay. So they're going to be hard to hear, I think. Can you do that for me right now? And he said, are you still driving? And I said, no, because I had already started to cry. And I just vomited all of the things that I was feeling onto Tom Singer. All of the worry, all of the anxiety, all of the anger, and then said, okay, I'm done now. And he said, thank you for telling me that. What did you say to last month when I called you? And I said, we've been here before. We know what to do. I'll go with you. And he's right. This path is hard. It's better if you walk it with somebody else. And it's great when you have somebody that when you slip off in the muddy times will reach out and grab your hand and pull you back on. I'm lucky I have a group of people around me supporting me. I wonder who your bat signal is. Who do you know that you can just call and they will have your back? Because I'm going to ask you a favor before we leave here today. Could you just send them a text or a call and say thank you? Because they're really important. They really are. But I'm going to ask you also, how deep is your bench? Because I had to go down 4 people before I got to Tom. Sometimes you need to have a group of people supporting you. And you know what? I know something about that. I've spent a lot of time working with people, forming masterminds, and finding a circle of support. I like to think about it as a campfire. You know what it's like to sit in a campfire with that darkness around you and the warmth of the fire, and you typically say things that you wouldn't say in the bright of the day. So creating that circle for yourself, having people who will have your back, is really important. And if you don't have that around you, guess what? I'm really good at that sort of thing. Let's have a conversation about how to form one around you. Here's what I know. The path is so much easier to walk. It's better to go with someone who knows where you're going. I know where we're going. Come on, let's do it together.